Hi there, I'm David Taliansich with the NICE Back Office Proficiency Solution Team. Effective coaching in the back office has always been, well, a little tricky. For one, very often it's not performed in a disciplined, consistent, and closed-loop manner. Coaching many times is performed for punitive reasons versus how to elevate and get the very best out of employees. We see poor performance and we coach to it to make it acceptable. Truly effective coaching, however, looks to engage the employee and turn acceptable performance into good performance. And better yet, turn good performance into great. Even though we all have good intentions, the time invested in coaching may turn out to be a waste that produces very little result. Now, with the back office proficiency solution, it's a whole different story. With the right data in hand, you can now identify immediately and very accurately what are the performance management gaps that you need to close. And after you assign the right coaching action, you can also keep track of its execution and immediately analyze the effects on performance. Let's take a look at how this is done. All right, let's take a look. So I want you to imagine that you're Lou Jameson. He's a supervisor in the organization. And he comes in every morning, and the first thing he does is log into the solution. So one of the things that the solution does for Lou is gives him some indication of what he might need to focus on. So in this case, some alerts have been created for him by the system that lets him know that Imelda, one of his employees, has been experiencing a decline in her overall proficiency. Now, Imelda has traditionally been a pretty good employee for Lou, but he's also given her some more complex work to focus on. And so let's take a look at what's going on. He opens up the Proficiency Root Cause page that begins to immediately show him that her overall productive time, the time that she spends using productive applications on her desktop, has been declining. And so he wants to drill in to understand what is the non-productive usage of applications that Imelda has been doing. And so he goes in, and what he can see quickly, and you'll notice this by the green bar at the top, that the percent of time of training pages that she has been using has been increasing steadily. He knows that maybe he needs to spend a little more time giving her some direct coaching around how to maybe perform these more complex work types. So he decides to open up a coaching session. Now in here, he's going to coach Imelda, and he knows that he wants her to focus on an auto calculation feature that he knows is going to help her out. Now, one of the real powers of tracking coaching within the solution is that you assign coaching sessions to very specific KPIs, and he knows he wants to focus on proficiency. And in his case, he knows that it's really around an application of skills. And so he clicks on the specific KPI and focus area that he wants to have a discussion with Imelda about. We also have the ability not simply to have random discussions, but really focused ones. And what the solution also provides is a best practice library of information that's really relevant and targeted to the KPIs and gives him some tips, tricks, and techniques to better coach his employees. In this case, we're going to add an item from the best practices library. And because we've already selected proficiency and application of skills, an item pops up called auto calculation for level 5, the most complex work type. And we can go in and take a look to make sure this is what we'd like to see. And indeed, it's the most critical work type. There's some other information and a link that's going to show her the kind of ways to do it more efficiently and effectively. And he knows that's exactly what he wants to assign to her. So he selects the item. It gets attached to the form. He's going to indicate, eventually he'll sit down with Imelda and take maybe 20 minutes coaching her, walking her through the new process. And in the case he's coached her for 20 minutes, and is going to submit this. Now what's going to happen is this form is now going to be forwarded over to Imelda for her to then acknowledge and then take the time to actually work through the coaching action that he's assigned to her. Let's take a look. Now I'm going to log in as Imelda. So as I log in as Imelda, what you can see is her landing page is a lot of information, but let's focus down here. There's 2 items that just were created. The first one is that there's a coaching acknowledgement required. Again, this is how we're closing the loop on coaching. Lou identified an opportunity. He figured out and diagnosed what the problem was. He sat down, had a discussion with Imelda, created the coaching session within the solution, And now Imelda has an opportunity to acknowledge that. So she can open this up, she can look at the actual coaching document, see what was assigned to her, acknowledge that it took place. If she wanted to make any comments about the session, that she could. She would indicate how many minutes of coaching that she perceived that took place, and she thought, indeed, yep, there was about 20 minutes of a coaching session, and going to submit this form. And what this now does in the system is create that closed loop, from beginning of identifying the issue to closing that with her acknowledgement that there was an issue. And what you'll also see is that she now has a task to complete the auto-calculate training that it's been assigned, and she can open that up and perform that at a relevant time. And what she's also able to do from this point forward is watch what is going to be the trend for her proficiency over the next several days, weeks, or months as she practices the new techniques that her manager has assigned for her. The Proficiency solution really allows you to turn coaching from kind of a shot in the dark to a very specific, managed, and measurable task. One that you can directly monitor and correlate to the employee's performance. I hope you found this session helpful. And don't forget to check out the rest of our back office Proficiency solution hands-on videos. Thank you.